let's
Yeah.
talk about some things when police arrive. So you've gone through these steps and you're in a safer location, the safest possible location.
Yeah.
And you've made your 911 call and they're said that they're sending units, right? Now what? And this is again a place where you can get yourself killed or you can
Mhm.
get yourself in a lot of trouble. If you have a force multiplier like an edged weapon or a firearm, especially, um, look, there might be situations where you have to keep it in your hand
Yeah.
because there's still an active threat. And so it doesn't make sense for you to reholster your weapon if you can help it because, well, you're dead, right? They're going to kill you if you have to unholster your weapon or if it's not, you're not ready.
Yeah.
What one of the things that we do is like we position everything strategically on our body. You can't see what my hands are doing, but everything is placed in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And for example, I'm a normal person, so I'm right-handed. I carry on my right side or appendix, but I carry my cell phone is stored on my left side, usually in a cargo pocket or my left pocket or my left rear pocket. So that way, if I have to keep my weapon in my hand in a high ready position, I can access my cell phone and use my cell phone with my left hand
Mm.
while I keep my weapon ready in a ready
Yeah.
position.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything, no matter what I'm doing, is positioned in a very specific way.
Yeah.
However, if possible, say you see lights or you hear sirens or whatever, or you hear them coming and giving commands, and they have to identify themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At some point, ideally, you want to have your weapon holstered.
Yes.
And you'll hear all kinds of bullshit about this out there, just like, geez, like, you know, no, you should unload the weapon and you should place it on the ground in front of you. I'm like, okay, well, what if you need it, right? Like, there's like, it gets just ridiculous. So I have interviewed law enforcement at nauseum about this personally. Like, where do you want to see it if it's a firearm?
Yeah.
Like in the holster. In the holster is best for us, in the holster is best for you. But you don't always have that as a luxury. So here's how you'll see how some of these stages blend together. So bear with. Again, it's not necessarily a linear
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah. For sure.
So do you remember when I talked about you'll have auditory exclusion, or you probably will, or tunnel vision, XYZ, right?
Yeah.
You may need to have your weapon in a ready position. And now you hear law enforcement giving commands, but you can't really make out what they're saying
Mm.
because they're behind you.
Mm.
What we recommend doing during situations like this is saying, Officer, I'm experiencing auditory exclusion, sir. I'm experiencing auditory exclusion, sir. I can't hear you, sir. They'll understand what that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's not a firearm, if it's another form of force multiplier, that's a real threat to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember the previous stage in the 911 call, you gave your description, so they'll know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so what I'll say is something like, Officer, I've got auditory exclusion, sir. I'm slowly going to place my weapon on the ground in front of me, or I'm slowly going to holster my weapon, sir. I
Yeah.
can't hear you, sir. So this is what I'm going to do. But what I'm not going to do is turn and face them.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not turning toward them at all. I'm letting them do their thing. But ideally, it should be holstered, but you won't. I want to say you won't always have that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Next, cooperate. Follow their commands. Just no matter what's going on, you're not going to win that fight, and it's not going to bode well for you
Yeah.
if you aren't being cooperative with them.
Yes.
Relax, cooperate. And if there's issues that you feel like you need to work out with the law, that comes later.
Yeah. Nice.
Not right now. Not a
Mm.
time to fight. Even if you're in fight or flight and you have the urge to fight, you might unconsciously have the urge to fight and not know why.
Yeah.
Do the best you can to cooperate with them as much as you possibly can. Next piece, you'll hear it commonly said that you should just automatically, in the United States, it's called plead the fifth. Plead the fifth means keep your mouth shut so you don't say anything that will incriminate you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is primarily speaking to the United States. Yes, you still have your Fifth Amendment right. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's important information that you're going to want to share with law enforcement for many reasons. And the first one is this: you want to point out who the attacker is.
Mm.
That sounds weird, right? Like, why would I need to do that? Isn't that obvious? No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because during the chaos of everything, if they were unconscious, or even if they weren't, there's a chance that they got up and walked away, or while all this stuff is happening, they can just sort of slip out of the scene and no one knows. So one of the first things you'll want to do is point out that's the man that attacked me right there. So you want to point out who the attacker or the attackers were.
Yeah.
The next thing is you'll want to point out the evidence.
Mm.
Do you see that knife right there? That's the knife that they attacked me with.
Mm.
Do you see those shell casings over there? Those are their shell casings. Do you see that firearm? That's the firearm that they attacked me with. Do you see that baseball bat? Whatever important evidence that there is, that's what you'll want to point out. Also, well, we'll get to this the next step, but let's talk about some of the reasons why that's so important, because evidence can very quickly disappear.
Mm.
Maybe they have a friend and their friend comes by quickly and grabs the evidence and takes it with them.
Yeah.
Maybe there's shell casings that get blown away and they get blown down a drain, or they get picked up in the tread of tires for car or shoes.
Yeah.
The evidence that will help you can disappear.
Mm.
So we very quickly want to point out what that evidence is, and that's on the record. And what else are you communicating with law enforcement? This is a responsible citizen offender who's really well trained.
Yes.
They know what to do. They're being cooperative with us. They're actually helping us do our job,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that's going to help you a lot. So point out the evidence, point out the witnesses. Do you see that person over there? See that person over there? They saw what happened.
Yeah.
You see the video cameras there. These
Yeah.
video cameras recorded the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I'm helping them figure this stuff out because I know I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna point those things out. If not, that very important piece of evidence can slip through the cracks.
So what's the difference then? Like you talked about pleading the fifth, but then you're also like giving them information.
I'm not pleading my case.
Okay.
I'm not telling them what happened.
Okay.
All I'm doing is saying that's the guy that attacked me.
Yes. Okay.
There's the evidence. There are the witnesses. There are video cameras. That's all that I'm saying.
Okay. So just I'm thinking like from a personal point of view as I'm filing this within my brain of point out the evidence and that's it. Just point
Okay.
out things like because it's
So what
they're
you're saying,
pieces of the story without telling the story.
yeah. So what you're saying is simplifying it, like, because it's all evidence. That attacker is evidence.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The tools that they use, the weapons they use was evidence. The witnesses
Yes.
are evidence. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a cool simplified way to put it. Next, what do you say to the officer right outside of that? Because they're going to start asking you questions.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick little recap and come to a quick little review and come back to this point.
Yeah.
Weapons should be holstered, follow commands, point out attackers, point out evidence, point out the witnesses and cameras, and then they're going to start to ask you questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm speaking about the United States now. I don't know about Canada. But in the US, here's how I teach it, right? One, know that they're trained to draw as much information out of you as possible. They're trained how to manipulate you, and they're good at manipulating you when you're in this very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So we have a scripted
Hmm.
thing that we say, that we
Okay.
teach. And it goes like this. Officer, I know that you're just doing your job, and I'll be happy to cooperate with you after I've spoken with my lawyer.
Nice. Nice.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They keep asking me, they're supposed to, by law, they're supposed to, as soon as you say something like that, they're supposed to stop asking you any questions or saying anything more to you and just, well, you're probably going to be detained. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no matter what happened, you're probably going to be detained in question. So that'll lead into this leads into some other things, but that's
Yeah.
that's all we say until we're with our lawyer. Officer, I know you're just doing your job, and I'll be happy to cooperate with you after I've spoken with counsel. And it doesn't matter who's saying what to me. From now on, that's the only thing that I say to anyone
Wow. Yeah.
until I get with my lawyer.
Yeah. Nice.
Then we should know when you get into squad cars, there can be recording devices in those cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you get into a holding cell, there can be recording devices in the holding cell.
Yeah.
Or they'll put an asset in the holding cell with you to
Yeah.
try to get you to say things while you're in custody,
Yeah.
right? Things like that. The only thing you're saying about the case is, I'm happy to cooperate with you after I've spoken with counsel.